Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It seems a bit pointless to be doing a US Chess Championships round 9 recap, but the event is still ongoing. But we do once again send thoughts and prayers and feelings to Daniel Naroditsky, his family and his friends. I don't know when his funeral is. I believe it's today or tomorrow, or in the next couple of days. And my best wishes and my condolences go out to his friends and his family. With that said, let us get on with the recap and try and make it quite as happy as we can make it. There were two decisive results in the open section, one of which was obviously in this game, and then in another game we have Sam Shankland versus Fabiano Caruana. Fabi, a win here for him would, I think, give him sole lead. He is currently, I believe, tied with Wesley So. They obviously had a rest day, which I think the players were very grateful for. But they are playing now. So we get e4 and c5. Fabiano Caruana is one of the experts in the Sicilian defense. He has played it a lot with both colors. Knight f3, and he goes for e6. d4 takes, and we get knight to c6. A very classical Sicilian, knight to c3 and a6. So not quite a knight off, I don't think. I think the knight off is with d6. But a similar-esque position where you're going to expand with b5. And, the knights have this bit of tension here. So we have bishop to e3, knight to f6, and now bishop to d3. Occasionally you can play f3 to prepare a bit of a kingside attack for white, but no need at the moment. Queen c7 from Fabi. Queen e2, preparing long castles for white, and then we're going to get this opposite side king attack. So Fabi's ready, plays b5. We trade the knights, and we play long castles, which the engine and I both agree is a mistake, because while white does have superior development in terms of they've got 5 pieces out, and you would argue black's maybe got 2, I've already played this, and my bishop's coming here. I will have a rook on the c file if I can get the arrows working. My bishop is going to fly in on this diagonal, and I'm quickly castling, and your attack is not ready yet. So maybe you could have gone short. In fact, yeah, the top engine move here is to play e5. Yeah, opening this, yes, but targeting the knight. So e5, you would imagine queen takes here. Actually, no, I don't think so. Yeah, you can't play queen takes because of this. Now you can play long castles. And what you've done is you've opened the g file for white. And then, the knight's hanging, so you've got to do something about that. And if you play knight to d5, for example, I have knight e4. And then it's a huge problem because there's check, there's here. Even though you grab this, obviously we take with the queen, otherwise we lose our own queen. Actually, it's not quite the same. Now you've got to play something like queen to g4. And you're going to use the queen as a target. Anyway, long castles was played. Long story short, long castles were played. Bishop to b7, king b1, bishop to e7, a3, queen c7, bishop drops back, short castles. You might say, wait, hang on, I thought there was going to be a lot more fighting. Well, Fabi's getting ready. He's getting his pieces organized. He's getting his queen better placed. It's not so good on c7. You're allowing e5. It's white's prerogative to attack. So they play h4. Now d5 comes. Look at that. Two-sided pawn play. If you dominate on 2 of the 3 sides, you're probably doing quite well. E takes d5, knight takes d5, and we get this trade. And there is the idea here as well to potentially trade again with something like bishop here. Rook ac8 comes. And you got problems. Because even if you take, I can probably grab here first, queen takes c2, king a1, and now bishop f6. Actually, dynamite strike. Just leave this hanging. So bishop to c3 is played to disallow that bishop to f6 idea, and you're also preparing your own attack when you want to fly out here. So f5, very committal move, but a move that makes lots of sense. You're disallowing the sight of this bishop. The queen now no longer has access to g4. Rook h3, lovely rook lift. rook ad8, and now g4. Not a pawn sacrifice, obviously, but you're looking to just open everything up. And Fabiano Caruana might be under a little bit of pressure. Actually, he's not. Bishop to f6. Look at that. Beautiful. Cold. Stone cold. Trade, trade. Yes, I might lose a pawn. Kind of. It's very tactical. Now we rotate the rook to the center of the board. This is still a weakness. And maybe the black king is a bit more exposed. Bishop drops back. Now look at that. Rook e5. But queen d6. You might say, wait, hang on, isn't this pawn hanging? No, because tactically it fails, because I'll just take this. And when you grab here, boom. I grab. Mate in 1, actually. You actually hang back rank because the king can't go here, because of that beautiful bishop on f7. So rook e1. Rook e1 played to get out the way. Now queen to d4. Now you can try and take, but it's tricky, because I grab here. F3, queen f4, queen e4, queen takes, so we get a queen trade. Now it's about converting an endgame, where we've got a 2-on-1 and a 3-on-2, with same colored bishops and 2 rooks. So this is going to take quite some winning. Someone's probably going to have to make a serious mistake as we get out of what was quite tactical for a bit. Beautiful idea here to sacrifice the pawn, but now double both of Fabi's queenside pawns, and now you can play rook a5. There is bishop to e8, defending the most advanced pawn, and this isn't hanging. So you can hang on to it for a moment, but rook to c5. h5, c4. King over, rook over. Trying to target weaknesses in each other's position, and it's going to take time. And here Fabiano Caruana has one move, and he's going to be better. He must play bishop to g6. Because if you get this trade, rook g takes g6, everything is defended, and black pushes through just a little bit faster than white. Unfortunately, Fabi plays g4. He rushes a little bit, so misses half a chance, but he's going to get it back. F takes g4, rook takes g4, and now Sam Shankland blunders the game. There are a couple of holding moves here. Namely bishop to d5, trying to trade. Instead of that, he plays bishop b7, which loses. But Fabiano has to play 5 perfect moves in a row. If he misses even one, he won't win the game. And he's got 3.5 minutes to find all of these moves. So he starts off 1 out of 5. Bishop to g6 check. King d2. Now again, only move to be winning. Rook to d4 check. Only move to be winning. Rook e6 check. Only move. Rook d2 check. Only move. Rook d3 check. King to f2. And now he's got 2 choices. He can play rook b6. Or he can play rook d2 again. He goes for rook b6. No need to repeat. b4, I take the bishop. You might say, wait, hang on. Why can't I just move my bishop over here? Because you're getting mated. Rook takes b2. Check. Let's say king e1. And now kill shot, rook e3 check. Let's say king d1. Now I have rook g3. Your king can't get close. Even if it does, I'll probably mate you here. Or there's mate coming. Let's say king c1. King c1, rook c2 check. Doesn't matter where you go. This is mate. So you have to give up the bishop. And this endgame will be significantly harder to win for Sam Shankland without a bishop. And in fact, he loses at h4. The final move, I'm going to push and promote, and there's nothing you can do. My bishop is defended, and these pawns are too slow. So Fabiano Caruana with a beautiful, beautiful victory. But there was one other beautiful, decisive victory, shall we say. You can judge the beauty of the game. And it was between these two men. It was between Hans Niemann and Awonder Liang. e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and now Hans goes for bishop to b5, a Spanish, which is interesting. The last time we checked in with him, he was playing Fabiano Caruana in that crazy game, and that crazy game, Hans played in Italian, and Fabi played d3, f5, and just completely bamboozled him and destroyed him on the queen side. So now Hans is like, I'm not having that again. Knight to f3, and we get knight f6. Those of you who know the Spanish game know there's something called the Berlin Endgame. And we get it. Short castles, knight takes e4, d4. And now here, by the way, if Hans Niemann wanted a draw, he could play d takes e5, where you hang the bishop and you get this line. And what happens in this line is you get threefold repetition where the queens would rotate back and forth. So if Hans Niemann wants a draw, he can force it. Instead, he goes for the traditional Berlin Endgame, where we get all of this. He plays h3, which is one of the moves. It's a bit more offbeat. A lot of people want to be quick with development. You know, they play knight to c3, they get the bishop out, they play rook over. But he's patient. King e8 from Awonder Liang. And this is going to require some skill as we get the trade. And you've got to evaluate all these trades correctly. Look at that. This is one of the key ideas. The bread and butter of this position is to use your h-pawn to activate your rook and to kind of already strike and create that little bit of play, that little bit of a threat. White's not just getting a free hand. And what you've also got is this Berlin Wall. On the queen side, knight jumps forward. Obviously, there's no castling, so you can just play a5, h5 to open up your rooks. We get a trade, c5. Hans is better. Just by the way, h takes g4 was not the best move. The best move here was to play g6. And to kind of have this structure, but already Hans is slightly better. H takes g6, now he's concretely better, but he's got to find the way, the correct way. That's what this is going to be about. So no rook trade, just by the way. No rook trade to surrender the open file. Instead, you move your rook to passivity. Now the bishop drops back. There is no pawn advantage. The advantage that Hans has is the fact that this is a doubled structure, an awkward structure. But how do you break through? Well, it's going to have to be this 3 on 2. That's where your breakthrough is going to come in. And the fact that black's pieces are just not doing anything. And eventually that's got to cave in, right? So bishop to d7, c4. Now b6, another mistake. Now we can play b3. c6, looking to kick out the knight. Knight drops back. You can't break through here, is the problem. You can't use your immobile structure. It's stuck like that. Bishop to c7 puts pressure. Rook e1. Rook a1. King d8. Now look at us infiltrating. Now how does Hans find the breakthrough? Knight f2, maybe not the right way. He's going to find it. Is he going to find it? Plays bishop f4. Bishop, lots of maneuvering. There it is. Rook d8. Another mistake from Awonder Liang. And for once, Hans can push the pawn. And he does. The moment he was given a chance, yes, and rook can't come in just yet. So obviously you want to trade. But trading's no good. Because then this bishop, where does it go? You've got to be like bishop to e8. And now I can play rook h8 and pin the bishop. So yes, you can give this check, but it's no good because I play king g3. And this is the wrong coordination of pieces. So e6 is clinical from Hans Niemann, and he doesn't get it done flashily. He plays king g3, and he gets the knight in. Look at that. And now we're going to barricade this bishop in because it's going to have this pawn and the rook, and there's going to be nothing you can do. We try to break through, but I simply take. And Awonder Liang resigns. Move 39. Because you would imagine he would have played c takes b5. But now there would have been knight to d5 check, which would have simply been a fork. So you cannot take back, but you have to. Because otherwise I will just take again and I will be completely winning up a pawn. I will defend my weaknesses, and Hans Niemann plays a very, very good Berlin endgame. If you play the Berlin, I advise studying this game. Obviously, there are other examples. I'm not going to mention the first person that comes to mind when you play the Berlin. If you want to know who it is, you can go Google the World Championship from 2000. Vladimir Kramnik versus Garry Kasparov, I believe it was. I think it was 2000 or it might have been 1999. That was how to play the Berlin Endgame, but I'm not talking about him anymore. Thoughts, feelings, condolences, all the emotions to Daniel Naroditsky and his family and his friends. Cheers.